So just a quick introduction to the first step of the self-leadership program. And in this particular part of the program, we're going to be looking at self-discovery. And that's getting a better handle of who you are. What are your strengths? What are your areas of development? What kind of person are you? What triggers your hot buttons? What really inspires you? What makes you react, maybe not in the greatest way? And to accompany this, you actually can download our own leadership diagnostic to give you further insight into who you are as a person as the start of the course. So let's look in more detail at self-discovery, the first step of the self-leadership model. Just returning back to the concept of positive insight first of all. As I mentioned, positive insight is about the way that you view yourself. It's the way that you view your situation challenges and the way that you view others. Now in this self-discovery phase, what we're really starting to do is look at how you view yourself. And first of all, it's about getting a reality check on that and an honest view of yourself first of all, before we start to look about the kind of leader that you want to become and actually create in the future. So it is about looking at who are you? And we can start doing that by looking at strengths and areas for development. So what are your areas of strength? What are the things that you know you do well? You may surprise yourself. Dig deeply on this and do the work to reflect on what are your stronger areas and performance areas, your skills that you have, the areas that you are more in your sort of peak performance area. But it is also looking at areas for development. Now there are different schools of thought on this, but in my opinion, I think we can get too hung up on the things that we don't do so well. Why not look at getting some help from other people? You know, the leaders that I coach and train, I'm always looking to offer ideas on how to outsource and delegate work. And I use a lot of people in my business to help me. Much better to focus on the things we're stronger at and make the maximum use and benefit of those than keep working on things that maybe don't inspire us so much. So have a good cold look at what your strengths are and what your areas for development, and keep focusing on those stronger points and look at ways you can work with other people to actually resolve the areas that you're not so strong. So when we're looking at strengths and weaknesses, we can look at personality type. And you may well have come across psychometric testing in your life, and you may actually have had one or two psychometric tests. I've had many psychometric tests. And in the leadership diagnostic that accompanies this course, there are some questions around personality type, but I haven't gone so deeply into one particular tool. And that's because I think you can get a fairly good flavour of who you are and what you are. You know, we all instinctively know ourselves. So it's more about just teasing out some of the key traits that we have, and then thinking about where they may cause us some issues and where we can actually, make best use of those traits, or maybe change our behaviour slightly. So again, with the document that supports the diagnostic, you can have a look at some of those areas of personality type and traits and start to look at where it may cause you some issues, and maybe how you might want to mitigate some of the behaviours that you would typically resort to. You may well also have come across the term emotional intelligence. Now, emotional intelligence has 4 key areas, and this originated from a gentleman called Daniel Goleman, who wrote a book about this in the 90s. And the 4 main areas, there are different flavours. Sometimes you'll see 5 areas in the model, but the 4 areas of the emotional intelligence model look at self-awareness, self-management, empathy or social awareness, and then relationship management. Now for this particular part of the program, we're going to focus more on the first 2 areas, which is self-awareness and self-management. And again, there are some questions in the diagnostic tool that will help you in terms of what you can do if you're not as self-aware as you might be, how to raise your self-awareness and how to manage yourself more effectively. But it is about understanding those hot buttons, those things that trigger us, that make us emotional. And sometimes we react quickly without really giving it some thought. and it's about developing some strategies to do that. So it's important that we start to become more self-aware, because only through self-awareness can we self-manage. Also, I mean, I touched on strengths and areas for development earlier, but you will have certain things that constrain you. It might be that you are too overconfident. It might be you're not confident enough. It might be you're too domineering in certain situations. Maybe that you're a perfectionist. I'm fortunate in that I'm not, I don't have this 100% perfectionist streak. I'll see it in other people. And I often say, you know, it's better to get many things to 95%, and maybe the critical things that are sort of life, you know, life depends on it, you know, to 100%. But often I find people spend too much time working on the things that are, you know, not essential to get to 100%, and they don't get to the other tasks they need to do. But what is your constraining behavior? And again, the diagnostic will give you some ideas on the areas that you feel you're most constrained by. And then again, it's working on some strategies. So all of this self-discovery is about digging deeper, tapping into your own instincts and your own inner wisdom about, you know, about yourself really. You know yourself very well instinctively, but it's about bringing this to the surface and understanding more of who you are, and then starting to think about some strategies about how you deal with that. And we've got that in the diagnostic tool, but we'll also have that in the self-mastery area at the end of the program as well. So hopefully that's just given you a bit of a supporting introduction to doing the diagnostic, the leadership diagnostic, starting to think about making a plan for yourself on some of the areas that you may want to change based on that deeper knowledge of yourself. And as always, of course, if ever you want to talk about getting some closer help with this, then my contact details are there for you. So let's move now on to self-identity.